Hey guys, Jay Hoyt here. Before we get into today's video, I want to say thank you guys so much for all the support. But we've been making the push to try to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload. And don't forget, you can always change your mind later. What's going on, guys? Jay Hoyt back with you today. Welcome back to Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. We'll soon cover Vanguard and everything. I've just been a little bit behind, but I do hope you guys enjoy this in the background, as today, oh boy, is there lots of roster changes, and do I mean a lot of roster changes. So of course, let's start with before Champs was even over, right? I think it was on like day 3 or 4 or something like that. The Seattle Surge squad wiped everybody on their organization. And I mean all 5, I think it was players, as well as their coach. So now Joey Nubsy, who was their coach, along with Looney, Gunless, Classic, Pristini, and Octane, all free agents. So that was big news, right? Like I said, that was before Champs was even over. And then we continue on, right? That wasn't really a surprise that Seattle would squad wipe everyone. I thought maybe they'd keep one person, but now that Octane is a free agent, he was going to go somewhere else. Like, that was just pretty clear. He did not enjoy being in Seattle. But then we continue on. After that, I think there was a few days later, we had Revan, who was the New York Subliners head coach, or I don't know if you want to say head coach, but a coach for the Subliners. He ended up saying that he was going to be leaving and pursuing other opportunities in the CDL. So that was interesting, and not really like a huge deal, but New York, was a pretty good team all year long. Obviously had some bumps in the way, but was a relatively good team. But then we continue on a few days later, and then the Paris Legion squad wiped their whole roster as well. At least just the players. I don't know about any coaches or anything else, but Zaptius, Temp, Aqua, and Scraps, all free agents once again. And this one's interesting, right? Zaptius, a good young player. You'd think that they'd want to keep him, but then again, is Paris even going to be a team next year? Is the latest big rumors that the likes of like Cloud9 or United or a few other different teams are looking to get into the league. So potentially that's a spot that opens up and gets sold to a new franchise, and then maybe they'll be a contender next year. But interesting to see. Obviously Paris, not a good team this year, and it wasn't really a surprise. But then we continue on with one that comes close to home, where I thought Optic Gaming, right? Optic Chicago, they had a pretty good end of the year. They'd never really reached their full form, and they kind of knew that as well. And I could definitely would have thought that this team would have stuck together for next year. And if anyone was going to be changed, who knows who it would have been. But it was announced that Envoy, out of all players on that team, got dropped. And it was like, what? But I don't know. Obviously everyone was calling him the Prince. Like, everyone thought him and Dashy were gonna be the new kind of T2P, the new duo, the new young talent that carries Optic into the next generation. Not trying to push Formula or Scump out of Optic, but it was like that was the two guys that were gonna do that. But I guess they wanted to do something else this offseason, and yeah, so that was a huge surprise that they would drop Envoy, right? One of my favorite players. Obviously he wasn't always the top of the leaderboard or most kills on the map, but there were some moments where he absolutely took over some maps, and it was an absolute beauty to watch. But it was like, okay, maybe they just thought Envoy didn't really mesh with Scump too well, so we're going to try to find someone that does mesh with him better. Maybe just a one-for-one change. But the same day, Formal announces he is retiring from competitive Call of Duty. And that was a huge shock, right? I thought, Scump and Formal, we're going to have, at least a year or two maybe, left in their careers, and maybe they'd move on to content creation or, whatever else they decided to do. But this one kind of, surprised me, right? He stepped down from the roster. He said he didn't really enjoy COD anymore, and there was a whole big paragraph that he posted, and it was kind of heartfelt, right? I've been watching Formal ever since Ghosts. That's when he made, like, his official, like, pro debut and kind of became the superstar Formal that we all know and love, and that was what's surprising. Now, here's the other thing, too, right? Formal and Envoy get dropped / Formal ends up retiring. But here's also another big rumor that's been out. Apparently, the Dallas Empire are in talks to acquire Optic Chicago, or at least the Optic Chicago brand, and then they're supposedly supposed to merge. But now let me tell you why this one doesn't make sense. So if you guys remember Call of Duty history, for the longest time, the E Classico was Optic versus Envy, or Envious as it used to be. And that was the rivalry, right? They always had teams. Some players end up, swapping organizations. And it was always a long-time rivalry. Whatever happened to that, right? Of course, franchising comes in. Okay, now it's the Dallas Empire. Okay, they had an okay rivalry, but like it wasn't really like that great. But now they're possibly merging? That doesn't really make sense to me. But maybe they know some things that I don't. But then the other big thing is, okay, if they're going to merge, well, we'll get to another set of rosters. I guess we'll talk about it now since this is, two of the big things out there. And they're both restricted free agents. But the Dallas Empire announced that Crim6, or C6, Crim6, and Vivid are both restricted free agents. What? Vivid, I understand, right? Came in halfway through the year as like okay, you got dropped from a bad team, and you were the, by far the best player on that team. Coming to this team, you do your best, but maybe it wasn't the best fit, right? That was totally understandable. But dropping the most winningest player of all time, arguably the best player to ever live, and you drop him. Now, that's understandable. Okay, maybe you want to go a different direction with your team. But with this merger talk, it leaves 4 players. It leaves Scump and Dashy from Optic. It then leaves Illy and Shotzi from Dallas. Scump's a submachine gun. Shotzi's a submachine gun. Dashy's an AR. Illy's an AR. That's 4 really good and very talented players. And Shotzi arguably is one of the faces of Call of Duty right now. And arguably one of the best players in the league. That's pretty awesome if that's going to happen. Now, here's what I'm worried about. Hex just got Optic back. They created Optic Chicago. I thought he was just going to buy it as Optic, and he was just going to own both of them and be done with all these other organizations and whatever else. Well, apparently that's not the case. I don't know much detail, but for whatever reason, there's a possible merger happening. But either way, we continue on with the rest of the roster changes here. TJ Haley from LA Thieves announced he was a free agent, which was interesting, right? That immediately thought was Optic because of the old friendship with Scump and former Optic time with him and Dashy for that matter. Then we go to the other LA team, the Los Angeles Guerrillas, and I believe they squad wiped everybody on their entire organization, with the exception of coaches, I believe. So Chino, Apathy, Mental Assault, Silly, Nero, Exceed, and Mox. All those guys, I believe, are now free agents as well. LAG, another bad team, always kind of gets the leftovers, low tier, maybe up-and-coming players. But overall, not really surprised there. Then we move on to another team that's no surprise that they made a huge change. The London Royal Ravens, they squad wiped all but like 1 or 2 pieces of their team. Shane, who was one of their coaches, Zed, Paulex, Alex, and Shawnee are all free agents. Dylan as well, apparently he's a free agent. Then they have Afro left, who was by far their shining star last year. So it's not really any surprise that they would keep him and try to build around him, especially since he's European and I believe from the UK. So lots of action here in free agency, but we're not done. We have two more moves to talk about. That is methods from the Toronto Ultra. Toronto gave him permission to talk to other teams. I believe he might be a restricted free agent. I don't remember exactly, but you know, obviously he wants to get back onto a starting roster, you know, with Insight coming in and kind of taking his spot, as well as Diamond Khan from the New York Subliners, another substitute that will most likely find his way onto a starting roster this upcoming year, probably on one of these lower tier teams. But oh boy, I am running out of breath. So as of right now, what is it, August 31st, we only have 6 teams that their starting roster has not changed so far, right? Seattle squad wipe, Paris squad wipe, LA Gorillas squad wipe, London Royal Ravens, all but one player. And then you have like Chicago and Dallas that dropped 2 players each. So will we see more changes? Most likely, because when you look at the free agent list here, there's a lot of really good talent. So, of course, this is only the initial, I guess, look at the free agents and the roster moves so far. But, of course, it's still super early. And I can't wait to see these rosters start to be built and start to be developed. But that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy, hit that like button down below if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure to subscribe, turn those post notifications on so you never miss an upload, and don't forget, you can always change your mind later. But with all that being said, guys, we'll see you in the next one.